What is up, everybody? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and we are back with another video on NieR Replicant. This time, going over 5 things you may have missed. A quick warning, this video will contain spoilers, however you should be fine as long as you've got an ending A. And with that said, let's dive right in. First up are the enemy item drops and the meaning behind them. On your first playthrough, they kind of sit in the back of your mind. They seem quite random and erratic. Enemies dropping things like earrings and necklaces. You don't think much of it. But as you get to the end of NieR and you face off against Deviler and Popola for that final time, and they hit you with the bombshell of a realization that these shades you're killing are gestalts, the original humans, the items take on a different meaning. Killing those tiny shades results in them dropping coloring books and items that kids would be playing with, and that's when you make that connection that, oh, this has been right in front of us the whole time, but only at the end does it take on a new context. Moving on, let's talk about the bridge quest you get in part 1. A quest that seems kind of random, but if you read between the lines, things start to make sense. When you first take control of Replicant NieR in the village, he sets off to find some mutton, but on his way back, he encounters some shades near the village's entrance. You encounter 4 little shades who in fact don't even attack you if you stand still for long enough. They kind of just skirt around you, but NieR nonetheless sees them as a threat and kills them off. You don't really think much of it as you give yourself a pat on the back for keeping the village safe. That is until the very next day, the contractors who are building the bridge to the rest of the Northern Plains come under attack. And conveniently enough, the shades you face off at next to the bridge are all adults. Now at first, there doesn't seem to be a correlation between the two events, especially when you don't know what you do know when you finish NieR. You fight some enemies, the very next day, the bridge comes under attack, whatever, these blasted shades are at it again. But once you come back and revisit these scenes with further context, you begin to realize that perhaps those were the kids that you killed, and the adults were taking revenge the very next day. Again, this is something that people don't really tend to pick up on, especially because you don't replay through part 1 when going for the other endings, unless you're going for ending E, and by that point, I think that's when it finally clicks and you make the realization, oh shit, this happened because of my actions. Next up, we come to the name of the shades themselves. Now depending on who you ask, this is obtuse and kind of obvious, or it is a complete mindfuck moment, and that is the fact that shades are only named so because they like to stick to the shade, to dark areas, to the shadows. If you've noticed while playing, the weather varies throughout NieR, and whenever it's sunny, you are less likely to find shades as opposed to when it's cloudy and there is an abundance of them. This is because sunlight is harmful to the shades. However, some shades do not know this, particularly the children. If you stand in sunlight, you can draw some of these shades out towards you where they will take damage. Stand around long enough, and some of them will even kill themselves attempting to attack you. This is also seen throughout the Gretel boss fight, where the shades go to attack you, not knowing that the sunlight will kill them, and it's a pretty tragic moment as you see these enemies try to get to you only to dissipate into nothingness. This is also why in part 2, a lot of the shades you see wear armor. It is a sign of intelligence and a sign of sentience that they've kept their mind. They wear armor not only to withstand your attacks, but also because it allows them to stay out in the sunlight, which is why when you play through part 2 and it's nice and bright outside, you'll still see several shades about, but they won't be wearing armor. Next up, we come to the Lost Shrine, the tragic last bastion for the broken gestalts. This in and of itself could be covered in its own video, but for the purposes of this one, we're going to talk about the barricades. Throughout your time at the Lost Shrine, when you revisit it, you'll come across these puzzle sections where you'll have to move these large boxes to get through the next door to move on to the next area. At first, these just seem to be some random boxes, some progression blockers, forcing you to slow down and do some thinking as opposed to fighting, but they again have a deeper meaning. The adult gestalts placed the series of boxes in front of all these doors in an attempt to defend and save the young gestalts from NieR's wrath. Again, a seemingly random sequence given further context by the ending of the game, but I'll admit, this kind of flew by my head for a while until I really sat down and thought about it, and came to the sudden realization of what exactly was going on. And last but not least, well, it ended off on a bit of a positive note, considering the video has been filled with nothing but sadness and tragedy, but such is NieR, and that is the ability to fist bump Grimoire Vice. If you rub the touchpad on the DualSense or DualShock, NieR will go over and give Grimoire Vice a fist bump. On PC, I believe you have to spin the mouse, and I think on Xbox you have to click the right thumbstick and then spin the left thumbstick. And then you'll get a cool animation again, bit of an Easter egg, one that not many people know of. But something similar was included in Automata, where you could get 2B to go over and pat her pod. And that about does it for this video. 5 things that you may have missed in NieR Replicant. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, do be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing, as there is more content on the way. And with all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next video.